I have a Redmi Note 8 cell phone. I use this for shooting a lot of the videos out here in the shop. And this battery has swollen up and it blew the back off the phone. So I'm going to attempt to repair this myself, something I've not done before. And the first thing that's a good idea is to take a picture of this so you remember what screws go where. Now this screw and this screw have a little sticker on there. That's to prove that somebody's been messing with the phone, and your warranty is no good now. Warranty wasn't any good on this anyway. All of these are kind of a green colored screw, except for that one. That one's black. It may be of a different length, so you want to keep track of that. That does not want to come loose for some reason. There. Disconnect the battery. And we have to disconnect these two cables. It doesn't appear that it's necessary to take this off, but it does give better access to the bottom of the battery. My main interest in this was getting this battery disconnected before it started doing something I didn't like smoking. There are videos on YouTube that show this process, and it's being shown by people who have more experience in doing this than I have. This is the first time I have done this, and hopefully the last. These two tabs, we peel them down gently, peel them off the battery. They're just a piece of tape. And this battery is being held into a tray by a couple of strips of white double-sided adhesive, very similar to the stuff, I think it was 3M that used to make the wall mounts for pictures and stuff. And you could stick that to your wall, and you could reach up and pull the tab out. And this white tape would come out, and it would release those mounting hooks. I think they called it clean release. And you just want to pull this out slow. Let it come at its own speed. Don't try to force it. Usually on the videos I've watched, they get in a hurry to do this, and these snap off, and you have a genuine problem. This is a very good adhesive. And that one came out in its entirety. It's a miracle. But that was another reason for taking this cover off of here, it gives more access to this piece of tape. And I can pull on it at a straighter angle. And this little thing here is sticking up, so that could cut the tape. I'm going to keep an eye out for that. I have read that bloating of a battery like this is caused by overcharging. I've never carried it as a cell phone. I just use it for shooting video. And the warmest that it gets is if you've been shooting video for a while. Most digital cameras do warm up pretty good. This is always charged relatively fast, and I've never left it charged overnight. So I'm going to guess this is a battery malfunction and not something due to the camera or charging. And that one came out in its entirety. And now that battery will just lift out of there. And we can see where that tape had been, here and here. When I put that back in there, it's just going to be with regular double-sided tape. But that worked very well. I'm now going to put this piece back in. There's no longer a reason for it to be out of there. You do want to use correct size screwdriver for these. And if you'll recall my video, turn it backwards until it clicks and your thread is timed. You can screw these in without cross-threading anything. I usually start the screws first and come around, tighten each one. The back of this phone was held in by a rubber-like cement or adhesive, and most of that came out pretty clean. This is a good time to go around and clean out all of that. The battery's out of there. You don't have to worry about it shorting out or catching on fire. And my battery coming out of China, this particular product was blacklisted by the U.S. government some years ago. And so you cannot order this phone or parts for it by name. And so I have found a replacement battery, and it will be here in about 2 weeks, and then I will complete the assembly. By then I should have this all nice and clean. I've left these two straps loose and put this plate on here with 2 screws to keep track of that so it doesn't go missing somehow. And I put the remaining 8 screws in here. And then you got to remember, the black screw in here was shorter. So if we put a green one in there, it would probably break something on the other side or short out. This is a BN46 battery, and made in 2020. And the replacement batteries I have found have been 2019, 2020, and 2021. I ordered a 2021 battery. It was the newest replacement I could find. I use a magnifier so I can look a little bit closer at what I'm working on. Take a small screwdriver, just rub it along. You'll pick up a little bit of that rubber cement that was around the edge. And you can actually use that bit of rubber cement, roll it along, and it will pick up the next bit that you come across. Just very gently roll that down there until you clean up this entire track. I prefer doing this to trying to use a solvent. When you get ready to put this back on, there are 2 little plastic tabs here, and they have to go underneath that silver part of the frame. And then you can put the screws in, and this will be at the correct level. The new battery showed up. You want to kind of look at things before you go open the package. This is a BN46, as was the old one. The new one is nice and thin, where this one had become inflated. And the back of the original one was marked where those 2 pieces of tape were. This one is not marked. So I put those little pieces of tape in there, and I'm doing this to save myself a future problem. I think that'll hold that battery solid enough, and if I have to take it out again, it'll be a lot easier to get that battery out than if I tried to tape it in like crazy. A lesson learned. I tried those little pieces of foam tape, and I decided they were just too thick. So I have now used 2 pieces of very thin double-sided tape, and I will call that good. Plugged in these 2 cables and then the battery connector. These pins on the end of these cables are very fine. They're very tiny. If you have a magnifier, it's a lot easier to get those lined up, and then they should just click in. It should not require any force. If you put any force on there, you're liable to damage those pins. So I got that connected, put this back plate back on here. The only thing that's not connected right now is this fingerprint sensor, which plugs in here, and I don't use it anyway. So I went ahead and I powered it up, and it is working. And that battery is at 39%, so we're going to shut that down and charge it up. The phone has been working fine for the last couple of days. I've just had this cover loosely on the back with the silicone sleeve around it. Everything's behaving itself, so now I'm going to glue this cover in place. This tube of T7000 adhesive has a wire sticking inside this tube, and you can draw out a real fine line of this adhesive. This is a rubber type cement. I already have this fingerprint sensor plugged in there. I'm just going to hold that up like that. I'm going to spread that adhesive around here the best I can and get the other side. I'm going to put a bunch of rubber bands around there until that adhesive cures. I tried not to put too heavy a string of glue around there. The silicone sleeve holds everything together pretty well. And if for some reason I have to take this apart again, it's just going to make it more difficult. I was fortunate when this battery expanded, it blew this back off and it loosened most of that adhesive. When I take these rubber bands off, if I have to clean anything up, a little denatured alcohol works pretty well.